in terms of your time on tour, then I'm guessing it kind of snowballed from having a couple of clients, like you said, and now obviously you are where you are. I mean, would you be comfortable saying who you now coach, or is that something you wouldn't want to talk about on the podcast? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that.
Well, it'd be great to hear who you coach now, and then kind of like what your, I don't know if you have a typical working week, but what it actually looks like to be out coaching these superstars.
Well, newest client would be Rick Shiels.
No biggie. Top of the list.
No, so current sort of clients that the viewers would know would be Tommy Fleetwood, Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, Matt Fitzpatrick, who you mentioned, Lee Westwood, Gary Woodland, Francesco Molinari, Chris Wood, David Horsey. There's some other European tour-based players.
Some serious names there, isn't there?
Well, major winners, world number ones, Ryder Cup players.
Yeah.
I mean, you've literally got them all across the board there. And interestingly, obviously with people like Gary Woodland, a mixture of places where they are from, like America, and obviously like someone like a Henrik Stenson or Justin Rose, they live in America now, as do most of the tour players, to be honest, don't they really? Like, it's not just people that you've kind of learned and worked with from the European tour level. It's really gone obviously global to some of the best players that's ever played, really. Who's the longest client that you've had then? Would it be Matt, would you say?
David Horsey.
Really?
Yeah. So I first met Dave when he was about 18.
Right.
And he must be in his early 30s now.
Right.
So he'd be one of the longest standing clients. Fitzy would be up there.
Of course.
I don't know how old Matt is.
Probably
I think he's my age. I think he's like
early
30.
30s.
I think he's about roughly 30.
Is he?
I think he's, I'll double check, but
He doesn't
How
look it.
do
He doesn't look it.
it.
No, he
I still look at Matt as like an 18-year-old.
how does obviously all these guys are professional athletes. He's 27, my bad.
Yeah.
Like, they're obviously professional guys, super switched on, which is why they've got to where they've got. But how does it work for you balancing them all? Like, if one of them's having a swing fault, or not swing, a stroke fault, or not putting well and they want to speak to you, but you're busy with like another client, how do you like balance that, and how do they never get like annoyed that they want to speak to you today and you're busy or whatever? Like,
That can be difficult trying to sort of manage your workload if you're at an event. But for the most part, the guys are really good. They appreciate that, and you just try and organise your day and your diary, so you'll be doing that maybe in the days prior. And you kind of just get through each week somehow. But you need an understanding from the players. If they wanted, they could be difficult. If I want that particular time and that's it. But I think they get it, and they're flexible, and you're trying to help them. You want to do your best by them, so they kind of work with you on that. But yeah, if it's a busy week, it can be stressful trying to make sure that you see everyone, and they're not having to go out of their way to see you. They're the important ones at the event, aren't they? Their preparation and the timing, the schedule is the most important thing. So it can be tricky, but.
So I'm guessing that sorry, go on.
No, but I was going to say, for the most part, I work with a good bunch of guys who are, who work with you, not against you.
So I'm guessing the most time you're going to have most players at an event is like a major.
Yeah.
The Open or the Masters or something like that.
It is now, yeah. It never used to be like that. I do remember being in Abu Dhabi once, and I had 13 players at the event.
Oh my God. Is that the most?
That was the most. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I'm not going to get through this week. And then I managed to, which was ridiculous.
Wow.
But then, like, now it's, people play different schedules. So I would never have that many players at an event. But then when they all come together, don't they, for the big events? So, the WGCs or the majors is when you could have most of the, all your players there. So it does make for a busy week.
I do they almost like book like a lesson slot with you as such? Like,
I make them book online now. I send them an
deposit.
email link.
And do you mainly do that through, you don't have to, again, go into specifics, but through player, or is it through managers, or is it through caddies?
I get their people to talk to my people. No, you just WhatsApp, don't
Really,
you?
yeah. Yeah.
Message. I'm there Monday. Are we catching up? And then if you send it all off at once, first come, first serve, don't you?
That's crazy.
But it's just like organising your diary like on any other day.
But most tournaments, because I know we've talked about this before, you're only there really Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, aren't you?
I'd be there more now.
Oh, really?
I mean, it used to be that I'd be there practice days, but I'd say as, my role has changed a little bit and, my responsibility's gotten greater then, and you travel further afield.
Of course.
You can't just pop to the US for practice days.
Yeah.
I find myself that I'm at events for longer. So, yeah, I'll, a lot of times be there at least till Friday or most of the week.
So
in
a year, how many weeks are you away, roughly?
Oof. I don't want to think about that.
How many weeks are you at home?
Probably, I do between 20 and 25 tournaments.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, they're not always full weeks, but then I do have other activities and other aspects of my job which also take me away as well.
Of course.
So, fair amount of time overseas.
How does it normally work then? Like, I'm just looking at the world rankings now, and I'm going to pick, I'll just go John Rahm, number one. Like, say he has a bit of a bad spell with his putting, and he wants to start seeing you as a putting coach. I'm guessing, again, it will vary from player to player, but what's the normal kind of process like? Would you kind of meet them for a meeting and have a couple of lessons, or do they just, like, I guess they don't become a client instantly. You've got to kind of gel as people, and as your kind of philosophies fit with how they like to practice and learn and stuff. So how does that process, you get a phone call tomorrow from John Rahm's agent or whatever, how does that normally then progress to them being your client?
It's not that different to what you'd expect, really. Is at some point they've decided that they're struggling with the putting or they need an opinion, and either the player or an agent would reach out and say, can I get a lesson? And you'd meet with the player, you'd give them an opinion, and then you'd leave it with them, and then they're either going to follow up with that or they're going to do something else. So,
and something like that first, let's say, meeting, is that normally done in private, away from media, prying eyes, where gossip can start, or is it often on just a putting green at a tournament?
It could be either.
Really,
yeah. I mean, a lot of the times it is at an event, so it is in the public, or other players can see or whatever. But I mean, ideally, I like to try and see a new student away from an event, ideally at the studio where you can get all your data, get your analysis, you've got the time to go through stuff. You don't feel pressurised or rushed, and they don't have a tournament to worry about.
Of course.
So, yeah, I would prefer a student to come and see me in the studio, get our stuff, go outdoors, whatever. I mean, I remember the first time that I actually ever saw Rory. Rory came to Formby Hall.
That's
Okay.
mad.
That's
which was
crazy.
a little weird. And I remember thinking at the time, because you've been to the studio, and that the window that overlooks the studio, basically you can see through
Well, it's frosted now, but did it not used to be
It wasn't
frosted?
at the time, no. But we put some temporary blinds up because I was thinking if Rory comes in and then people are in the shop and they can see it.
Just like watching going.
You're going to end up, So, yeah. So there's an element where you are wary a little bit about privacy.
Of
so we put
course.
some blinds up for when he came. But yeah, ideally get them away. You got that privacy, you got that time.
Yeah.
But very often you're not afforded that chance, and with schedules and stuff like that, you could be asked to give an opinion to someone at an event.
I feel like I've got so many questions, but just